What's going on, my friends? I want to talk about something here. It got up in my mind today when I saw a video by Andrew Huang, which I think is an amazing talent. I think you guys have followed him on YouTube. He's got about 2.2 million followers. He's an incredible talent. The guy's amazing. But there's one thing I have to disagree with him. He did a video today with taking one sample and 4 producers like he likes to do, which I think is cool. I love to see what these guys do with that stuff. I love watching that stuff. But they were all Epidemic sound composers. And that's what I want to get on and talk about here today. Epidemic sound. And I want you to listen, watch this whole thing from start to finish. And I want you to listen to me. I want you to hear me out. Before you send your music to Epidemic Sound, some things you want to know. There's a section on epidemicsound.com. You go to the bottom, it says for composers or musicians or for artists. I think it says for artists. Click it and submit your music and hit the frequently asked questions. And under qualification and conditions, and there's a question. It says, why does Epidemic Sound ask me to leave my PRO or collecting society? And it says, our ecosystem is based on our music being able to flow freely to our customers. We have made this possible through our unique digital rights model, which is based on the promise of us being the sole owner and financial rights to your music. This wouldn't be possible if an artist or music creator were affiliated with a collecting society due to their exclusive affiliation agreements. We do hope this will change in the future. Well, that's where I disagree. Because it's companies like this that are destroying the music industry. I'm telling you right now, listen, you do what you want and it's okay. Listen, I'm not saying that don't send your music to Epidemic Sound, but you need to understand some stuff here. Epidemic Sound's going to take your music and it's in perpetuity and they're going to own it. In other words, they tell you you've got say-so in it, you do not. It's my understanding that they pay you about $500 a track and that's all you get. And the only thing they pay you each year is they split up the mechanical royalties, which are not your performance royalties, by the way. There's a big difference. It's part of you need to learn this business. This is what I'm talking about. Before you send your music to somebody or sign an agreement, know what you're doing. These people will take it exclusive in perpetuity in their system, and they give you $500 for a track, and it's all you're getting. In other words, this royalty-free library here could take your music, put it in a Mercedes commercial, which Mercedes has ad agencies that go to music supervisors that will get music. And companies like that would pay you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or more for a track to license it. Plus, you'll get royalties when it's aired. You'll never get that from these guys. They'll collect that money. What they're doing to these artists is they'll tell you, oh, we don't want you to get into the performance rights organization, but they're putting that out there with a PRO and collecting back end on it. Oh, yes, they are. They're collecting further licensing on this track, and they're not giving it to you. What they're doing is saying, well, we split the mechanical royalties each year with the artists. In other words, they're basically redistributing wealth of someone else's placement and splitting it up and giving it to somebody else. So basically, if you made $100 off a placement, that's thrown in a pile, kind of like waiters and waitresses splitting the tips each night. So it's like best ball tournament. One guy's getting all the tips, has to split it with everyone else. It's not cool. You don't do that. And it's enough money at the end of the year for you to go get a hamburger at McDonald's or something. It's not much. Meanwhile, that same music you could get with exclusive libraries, and you could get the 50% of the sync licensing and 100% of your writers for many years to come. A hell of a lot more money. And I'm telling you, it's, hell, at least Pond 5 and these guys are saying put your PRO information, they're okay with it. The problem with anything royalty-free is this. This is why it's companies like Epidemic Sound Epidemic is the absolute worst. But companies like Epidemic Sound and like Pond 5 and these guys, they're giving their clients a contractual right and a choice that they don't have to pay royalties on this stuff, guys. They could get one of your tracks for $100 over at Pond 5, put it in a Mercedes commercial. That's all you're getting out of it. Actually, you're not getting $100 for it because Pond 5 takes 60% plus other fees, from what I understand, and you're not even getting 50% of that money, and you can't do anything about it. I'm telling you guys, this is where, and YouTube is allowing this to happen because Epidemic Sound's their biggest provider. And they're making billions of dollars off of your money or your music, and you get nothing out of it. $500 all you get. Now, don't get me wrong here. Let me explain something here. If you're an artist with Epidemic Sound, there's an opportunity to make damn good money, I can promise you. Because if they're paying out $500 a track, which is what I'm always told, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if they're paying out $500 a track, and let's say you do 50, 100 tracks a year with it. I'm just throwing figures. I don't even know what the average amount of tracks is. I mean, that math is killer. You make a great living. But how long will that last? And beyond that, once it gets aired, you're not going to see a dime of that money. Don't think for 1 minute that they aren't putting their publishing and their writers taking 200% of that and throwing it into a PRO in the background, renaming him and getting money on the back end. They're taking further licensing for that money. Don't think they are. That's corporate greed. And the only reason why they haven't been held accountable is because they're not an American company. This only reason why Pond 5 isn't doing this right now. And Motion Array, I'm not exactly sure where they're from, but some of these other companies, the problem is it's been a thorn in it's been a big talk at these production music conferences. These companies, they're devaluing our music, they're killing artists. If half of these content creators on YouTube knew what Epidemic Sound does to these composers, they wouldn't pull music from them. They would not subscribe to them. They wouldn't do it. They'd probably do something else. And they do it because they can have one subscription a month and use all the music they want to do. Meanwhile, the artist that puts the music in there, the guy that's little $500 isn't getting crap for that money. And you do realize that they pay back-end royalties for YouTube, and they pay it for Spotify, and they pay it for Apple Music, and they pay it for every other streaming platform service. And TikTok is fixing to have to pay up. TikTok's been doing music, and they've said it this year. TikTok's going to have to pay up. There's been a lot of legalities, and these people going to Washington to fight. They've been trying to fight, with other countries about trying to make them put a stop to this stuff and fall in line. And with this whole neighboring rights thing, there's a lot of stuff that is it's put a thorn in the music industry side on this deal. And I want you to guys, please just think before you put music in Epidemic Sound. Now, mind you, you might be the kind of person, in all fairness, that just you're with them and you get a lot of music. Go for it. Just understand that you're not getting any money beyond that. What little money you're getting from that split from mechanical royalties isn't much. And I'm telling you, this is all I've been told. If they've changed something or added something, chime in below. I want to know. I've never sent music to them. I've always been told by the people who have or other people, and it's been a real huge hot topic here in the last 6 months. It was talked about at the production music conference. People were saying, what can we do about companies like this to put a stop to this? Because YouTube is allowing it. They don't care. It's the corporate greed of this whole thing. And don't think corporate greed doesn't just happen in the United States. Corporate greed happens all over the world. But there's a lot of corporations around the world that they're looking for a way to make money to cut someone else out. And it's time that the composers fought back and put a stop to this. Non-exclusive libraries are okay, but just know that they're a liability if they hear the same music in different sites. They're not going to use it as much. Why exclusive libraries right now is the way to go. Find good libraries. As I said this till I'm blue in the face, and you heard me say it the last video. I'll have to say it again. Find good exclusive libraries. They're going to give you 50% of the sync fee because they're giving you the money. It's a standard. That's the standard deal. You get 100% of your writers, and they do 100% of the publishing because they're the publisher. That's what the 100% of the publishing is there for, out of 200%. But you got to understand that companies like Epidemic Sound are just ruthless, man. And the people that write for them, either they don't care, or or maybe they are making great money. And listen, here's the deal. These artists that were showcased on Andrew's YouTube are probably making good money with Epidemic Sound. And I would hope that they're putting music to exclusive libraries and doing stuff elsewhere besides Epidemic Sound. If they're smart, they are. Because you're not going to get money paid for years to come. That's a passive income. That's a very good income stream for back-end royalties in the future. I mean, I've got music I've been getting paid for years in TV shows. Little small bits here and there, and some decent. When it resyndicates around the world, it sometimes becomes like it's a new placement. It's actually pretty good money. I've got MTV placements from Catfish going up, down. It's up, down. It's like investing money. But for years I've had it, and I've been getting paid for these few placements. So you're not going to get that with Epidemic Sound. The Epidemic Sound, I'm just telling you right now, the only way to fight back is quit sending these people music. And that's YouTube's biggest content provider, probably the only. And here's another question. Does Epidemic Sound collect royalties of my music? It says, Epidemic Sound does not replace a regular PRO collecting society. We only collect royalties for the music in which we own the financial rights. In other words, they only collect the mechanicals for you on that. But don't think they're not taking that music in the back door in a PRO, probably PRS if I were to guess, renaming it and shooting it out there and licensing it to other clients like some Ponzi scheme and making billions of dollars off it. And you know they're making a ton of money. Don't let them make you think they're not doing it, because they probably are. And here I talk about the soundtrack bonus. How does the soundtrack bonus work? It says, we believe the best way to measure if a track resonates with listeners is by how many times it gets downloaded from Epidemic Player. We offer a what? It said a $1 million soundtrack bonus every year that recognizes the tracks that resonate with our customers. And most of the rewards and the music creator accordingly, most of the awards go to the music creators accordingly. At the end of the quarter, we'll report back on the downloaded tracks in the player and reward our artists and music creators and share the bonus proportional to the performance of the tracks. This will consist of both new tracks and catalog tracks. In other words, they're making millions upon millions of dollars. They're going to take $1 million and divide that out. I don't know how many composers they've got. It ain't as much money as you think. Let's say they've got, I don't know, maybe they've got 500,000 composers or more, or whatever it may be. Whatever it is, my understanding, it's not much money. You ain't making six figures a year on that mechanical royalty split. It's a licensing split, only a percentage of what they truly make. So in other words, if there's $1 million soundtrack bonus every year for so many composers, they're making a hell of a lot more than $1 million on that, because they're there to make money on licensing. But that isn't the only thing that they're doing. They're licensing to other clients that have nothing to do with the artist. And you know they are. They're renaming them in the back door off a different library, and they're licensing them out. And listen, if somebody wants to pursue that, if they get caught one day doing that, if that country has any laws against that, they'll get in trouble on it. But if this company were in the United States of America, they wouldn't be allowed to do what they're doing. But they're getting away with forcing you you're not allowed to report or even be with it says you're not even allowed to join a performance rights organization, which has nothing to do with the music you're submitting. But I have to read that again and be doubly sure, because I'm not, let me see here. Let me read that one more time, folks. Why does Epidemic Sound ask me to leave my PRO or collecting agency? See, they don't want you even a part of that agency. I cannot even in good conscience dare send my music to a company like that. In other words, they're telling you to forfeit everything you've done prior to that and close your PRO account. That's what they want you to do. In other words, they don't want you going, taking those tracks and those track names and putting them in that PRO over 200%. And you as the artist, they track it and it's been played and you're getting paid for it. Oh, yeah. That's a no-no. You can't do that. And now you're thinking, what in the hell? How could they get away with doing that? Well, they get away with it if you let them do it. That's how they'll get away with that. Any company or employer or somebody's going to get away with abusing something if you let them do it. If you don't push back and say, no, it's not legal or it's not right, you cannot do it. So, guys, I'm telling you right now, please, whatever you do, if you're looking to send or if you're putting your music with Epidemic Sound now, please understand what it is that you're doing. Please understand that there are companies that will get you a lot of music placements for future that you can send music to exclusively, and you need to do it. I would say, hey, do both, but according to this, you're not allowed to do both. You're not even allowed to be affiliated with the PRO with these guys. They won't even take you in. So you have to make that decision. Do you want to get your good music to publishers and libraries that are exclusive, or just ones that will get you a lot of good placements of that genre of music that you do and get royalties for many years to come? Or do you want to keep sending to a company like this that's doing that but robbing you? They are robbing composers like left and right. These people have no idea what they're doing. And they've been composed. Some of these guys have been composing for Epidemic Sound for a very long time. In fact, one of the girls on here that was in Andrew's video today is on the front page. Her name is Sarah the Instrumentalist. Listen, she's a hell of a talent. Incredible talent. But I don't know how much she knows about the licensing business. I don't know what she's done. But I can bet she probably is, according to the rules on this, if she's been writing for Epidemic, she's only getting paid per track, but she isn't writing for anybody else. Because the contract says you're not even allowed to be even affiliated with a PRO. That's a performing rights organization. Anybody who's new doesn't know what I mean by PRO. Like BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, PRS. You get the point. But I'm telling you, these guys, they just, unless somebody can prove me wrong, and really, if you compose music for Epidemic, I want you to chime in the comments below, because I really do want to know. If I'm wrong about something, I want to know. I want to know how long you've been composing for Epidemic, and I want to know if you're making a living doing it. That's your sole living. And what's your mechanical rule? Give me the average of what your mechanical royalties are. You don't be afraid to tell me, because if this is a good company to be with, people want to know that. Give them the proof in the pudding. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's just taking advantage of composers, and it's devaluing music, and it's not cool. It has really become a heated conversation over the last year. I know Dan Graham, and he's in that NSYNC music licensing group with us. No, he's not. Dan has his own. I'm sorry. He's in the other group that I'm affiliated with. What is the name of that? Sorry to interrupt this video, but this is where I had a brain fart. Sorry, guys. It is Composer's Guide to Licensing Music. That's Dan Graham's Facebook group. It's Composer's Guide to Licensing Music. And I've read the book. It's a very good book. Sorry for my brain fart. But that's what Dan Graham has his own group on Facebook. It's a music licensing group. If you've read his book and bought it, most of those people are part of that group. But he went after him hard about 7 months ago. Really made to a point where they blocked him on their social media, because Epidemic didn't want to talk about it. They denied everything. Oh, well, we believe in our artists and blah, blah, blah. And Dan Graham was throwing it at him. Listen, and he's British. He's over in that territory and knows it's wrong. He's not in the United States of America. But this applies to any composer anywhere in the world. Not just because you live here in the United States. Any composer in the world that's watching me say this right now, you need to know that is wrong. It is illegal in the United States. Epidemic Sound could not force you to leave your PRO in the United States. That's why they're getting away with it, because they're not an American company. But YouTube is, and YouTube is allowing it to go on. So there is a back way of holding YouTube accountable for that. I don't know what that is. And I hate to say that, because I'm on YouTube right now talking about this video, but it's wrong. And you need to know, as a composer, you're submitting music to a company like this, is robbing you blind. Please beware. Please do your research and know there are good libraries and good companies to be with. I'm doing that right now. Been doing it for 13 years. I've been playing music for many years, but I'm telling you, based on this right here, this just turns my stomach, man. And you go look up Dan Graham on Facebook. Dan Graham would be glad. I don't know if he's even gotten on YouTube talking about it, but Dan Graham would be glad to tell you more about this ins and outs. He knows the science of this. He knows more detail than I know about what's going on. And I'm a composer in this industry as well, because Dan's a publisher. And he'll tell you to the T exactly why you shouldn't do it. And it boils down to it devalues music, and it's just wrong. It really is. So anyway, I don't mean to babble, but listen, Epidemic Sound, guys, a no-no. I don't write music for them and never have. In fact, I couldn't do it. I got 1,200 tracks of music of the last 13 years out there making me money, more money than I make with these guys. The only reason I would make money with these guys, if I were doing 100, 200 tracks a year, at $500 a track, I'd be making big money. But what's to say one day they cut you off until you're done with us? And all that music is gone. It's in perpetuity. You ain't getting that music back, folks. And that's another thing. Correct me wrong. If there's a reversion with Epidemic, I want to know. I want to know. I want to know also if I am with a PRO, but I submit music to these guys. If it says, like it says, they're going to make me leave my PRO because of that. Because I ain't doing that, I promise you. That's a performance rights organization. That's for your rights. These are the people that go to Washington, D.C. to fight for your rights. And I hear about it every day. I mean, every year at the Production Music Conference where David Israelite talks. He's one of the big guys that the guns that goes up there. He meets with these politicians. He's the one who was behind the whole Music Modernization Act. And listen, it's a start, but that's not where we need to be. We got a lot more work to do. Hell of a lot more. Especially when it comes to streaming, getting paid for streaming. Artists right now should be getting at least a penny an airplay for streaming. It's barely a third of a penny right now. That's going to have to change. But anyway, I want to get off. I've gone too long, but listen, no. Beware, please. Thank you for watching so much, and have a great day and a great evening wherever you're at. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.